Secured overnight financing rate 5.38% for September the 16th versus 5.33% for September the 13th.
Okay, welcome everyone to the Pro Trade Room Plus. Retail sales in the US and Canada CPI. My name is Lee Goldstein, the Trading Director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember, I'm not a financial advisor. All the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. Okay, let me know that you can hear me okay and that you can see the screens. Give me a heads up. All right, I had to change computers this morning. And no matter how many things you do, sometimes it just doesn't quite get everything right. So hopefully everything will be working properly. And I couldn't get into the trade room for a few minutes. Once I got that solved, then my microphone wasn't working. It's always something if you change computers. Okay. So we're here for US retail sales. I want to thank everyone who's watching us on YouTube. Thanks for joining us this morning. Somehow I've got to move my laptop so it's this way. This way. But I'd have to redo my whole office. I just don't have the energy to do it. All right. So let's look at the DMM first. Retail sales has been trading quite a bit with other reports, but when it trades on its own, it's a real solid report to trade. So let's look at a couple of things. Let me put the DMM up. If for people that don't know what a DMM is, a DMM is our trade report, and we send it to our members the day before. Canada Core CPI, I don't have a lot of interest in trading that particular event, but I think what I'll do is watch Canada's currency future. So you could see that retail has been trading well, but May is not on here for a very strong reason. May traded with CPI. CPI is the report that was really being traded in May. So the analysis wasn't done in May because it was not really a retail trade. So you can see this is a pretty big mover. It's a pretty big mover. Our setup should be fine in terms of safety of the size of our tiers. We have a 72 tick outer tier, the second tier, plus a 25 stop. That's 97 ticks. We haven't had any 97 tick moves on this report in the past 7 months, it looks like, because May is not analyzed. Certainly, there are times where retail can be a breakout, but it really has been best as a trap trade. So that's, it's like what there's another report, the PPI report is a trap trade. Yes, you can get that day where sometimes you get a breakout for all, right? Sometimes you get a breakout for all where everything works as a breakout.
At 8:15 a.m.
Sometimes
Eastern
it
Time,
happens,
we look at our
but
Canadian housing starts
we still
annualized
go
number
by what the
closed at
report does the best.
290K on the prior
And retail definitely has been a trap
271.5K.
trade. That's what it's traded the best. So I'm just putting the news, showing you all the news that's trading this morning that's affecting all the reports. You've got the Canada CPI and US retail. All right. The issue is, what do you do with all the charts? Where are you going to put all your charts? How many charts do you want to trade with? I don't think I'm going to trade with 80 different setups this morning. I'm going to concentrate on my retail trade. So I've got gold up. Don't forget that gold opens at 820. Okay, so when you see movement in the gold market around 820, it's not strange, weird volatility, it's the market open in gold. Okay, looking at last month's retail, and there was a lot of news the last time we had retail. It had unemployment, and that affects the report significantly. Philly Fed, Empire State, they had quite a few events trading together. And that was in August. Just looking back, to see what our tiers were. Very, very close to what we're going to do today. All of these webcams can get a little bit confusing. Watching last month. So it shot down, and you could see it did a very, very quick change in direction. Canceled the outer tier, maybe a little premature. Probably premature. The ES trap, which no longer is one of our choices, just did not work at all in August. Gold, we got out fast. If you look at all the news, if you can somehow, and it's not easy, analyze all the news, you could see almost all the news was positive in one direction, which can push gold down. And I'd like to think I was smart enough that month to get out of the trap fast because of that. But the trap trade You had to be quick, but it did give you the opportunity to get out. And it was the move to make that particular month. Let's look at another one. Let's look at July. July is a little bit more like what we're seeing today. Okay, here's July. Gold on the left. Again, we were watching Canada on the right. Now it filled both tiers, okay? Filled both tiers. And now the reversal is starting to take hold. Stop to safety. Increase the target size. See if the reversal really takes hold. Looks like it's starting to be a good reversal now.
So just less than 5 minutes away till we get our Canadian housing starts annual
Canada
report
in the middle.
250k on the prior 279.5k.
Micro gold on the right. Now, a couple of things that I would say, and then you had a very, very solid reversal on gold. Looking at the news, retail sales, you also had some trade balance in there as well, it looks like to me. Quite a bit. There was there was not quite a bit of news that day. That day was fairly close to today, the way we're seeing it. And it did have a good solid reversal in the price. Definitely possibility for a very strong profit. So how are you going to trade retail sales today? I'm trading the trap, and I'm going to use the biggest sizes I can because this report's been moving rather large. There is a possibility that we could get a little bit more muting today. Muting meaning a little bit less impact because the markets are waiting for the Fed. That's a real possibility. So with the trap trade, it's no big deal if you don't get filled. If you get too much of a non-reaction, then you just won't get a fill. And that's not the end of the world, okay? It just means you don't get filled. So I'm going to choose a trap trade. And my stop is 25. Now, if you want to reduce risk today, also, you can trade just the outer tier because this is a $500 or $600 risk on this trade with gold if it stops out. If you want to reduce, you don't want to have that much risk,
Just
you
less
could
than 1
trade
minute
just
away
the
now.
outer tier. All right. Position size 1 is a 1, and then position size 2 would be a 0. Stop is 25, and then tier 1 is 55. Tier 2 is 72. and then the time of the event. If you're running the current version of the software, the time of the event is 8/29/55. If you're running the previous software and you have not updated yet, the time of the event is 8:30 and the prep seconds are 5.
10
Okay, so
seconds.
don't forget that. Tiers of 55 and 72, I labeled it a GC trap. And I know I didn't make all my connections
217
this
spot
morning.
4K, 217 spot 4K, lower than the forecast of 250K.
Okay, so back to the strategy. Trap trade, position size 1 is a 1, position size 2 is a 1, stop is 25, tier 1 55, tier 2 72, time of activation 8/29/55. Trading it in Buell Knox. When you enable your trap, everything is set up. Make sure you can see your buttons. You have the break even button across the top, close the trade button, adjust tiers, which we don't use at the current time. That was part of an older methodology we were using. Cancel the outer tier. If you only get filled on one tier and you need to cancel the second order, that's what that cancel button does. And then the combine button combines multiple orders into one position, closest to the current price. Okay? And just make sure that it's Tuesday, right? Make sure that you've checked your time sync by going to the website Time Is, if you don't mind, right? Don't forget. Go to the website Time Is to make sure your computer is in sync. Now, I do that almost always before I get to the trade room. Also, don't forget, if your charts are spread too wide apart, you may not see your orders. So you may have to shrink your orders, your chart down so you see your orders. Okay. And then, one of the big issues with Canada CPI, one of the reasons it has been a difficult report to trade these days is it's been difficult to decide if it should be traded as a trap or as a breakout. So I'm just going to watch Canada, just going to watch it, and I will put a second gold trade on my same chart. I'm adding a second strategy for a reversal continuation. Just one position, 20
So we
tick
have tested
target,
out the Canadian housing starts August report for
20
the
tick
FAB.
stop. Remember, all you need for a reversal continuation is a target, a position, and a stop. I'm going to label it. I won't do anything until my breakout is over because it's in the same, my trap is over because it's in the same account. But it's there if there is an opportunity after the news. 20 tick target, 20 tick stop. Label REV, REV. So what happens when you apply that reversal continuation strategy and okay it and then enable it, you get your buttons. Okay? Get the buttons. Roz, I think that you can try MGC. I have not been loving the way that MGC has really been working differently. It's really been moving significantly differently than regular gold on breakouts. I'm not a lover of the gold micro on the even though a trap is not a breakout, it moves, if you understand, like a breakout. It could have a very big first move. What is a possibility? Remember, you can get a breakout for all on this trade. Trading ZF as a breakout would not be crazy. I would use a 10 bracket if I was interested in trading ZF on this report. It's absolutely possible you could have a breakout for all. You know, you could get that kind of day. So if I were maybe not so interested in the trap because I just don't like trap trades or whatever reason, you know, I would consider MGC with tier 2 only, Roz, to me would maybe make more sense. Or you could consider ZF. But I have to say, look, it's not heavily tested, but it's just one of those instruments that can move quite well on retail news. I would set it up 829.58. You can type from scratch if you don't want to fool around with the time field. I would use a
So at
bracket of
8:30
10,
a.m. Eastern Time, we do see our release of the US retail sales figures. Month on month,
and I
the
would do a
forecast evidence
target of 8
0.2% on the
ticks
prior 1%. We also see our Canadian CPI figures
and
year
20
on year with a
ticks,
forecast of 2.1% on the prior
and I'd use
2.5%.
a
Month
stop
on
at
month with a
least of
forecast of
15 on
0% on the
ZF,
prior
and
0.4%.
I would use a
US core
target one
retail sales
stop
month on
move
month forecast
to break
0.2%
even
on the
minus
prior
3,
0.4%.
and that's how I would,
Canada
if I
core CPI
wanted
year on year on the prior 1.7%, and
a
Bank of Canada core
breakout.
CPI month on month on the prior 0.3%. US retail sales year on
I
year on the
think
prior
that bonds offer a
2.6%. Canadian
possible,
CPI trim forecast 2.5% on
if
the
it's a
prior
breakout day
2.7%.
for all, bonds
Canadian
will give you a
CPI
good
median
move.
forecast 2.2% on the prior 2.4%. Canadian
And
CPI common
ZF
on the
is
prior
$6 and
2.6%,
change
and
per
Canadian
tick.
core CPI month
You
on
could
month on the prior
trade just one
0.1%.
contract, go for a 15 tick target, and if the market moves 10 ticks, move my stop to, you know what? I would go for a 20
Also,
tick
just
target
taking a
if I
quick
was
look
going to
at the
trade just
ranges now
one.
for the key
And if
figures.
the market
US retail
moves
sales month on month with a range of 0.3% to
13
minus
ticks in my favor,
0.6%.
I'd move my
Canadian
stop to
CPI month
break
on month
even
with a range of
plus
0.2% to minus
8,
0.2%.
8
And
to
Canadian
10.
CPI
Here's,
year on
here's what
year
I would do.
with a range
20
of
tick target
0.4% to
on
2%.
ZF, one contract. If the market moves 15 ticks, move the stop to break even plus 10. So if you want to trade just one ZF, the bracket would be 10, my target would be 20, my stop would be 15. If the market moves 15 ticks, move my stop to break even plus 10. Now, it's only going to work if you get a breakout for all kind of day. So you got to keep that in mind. Okay? Bonds are on 1224. So I'll keep a bond chart minimized. We could look at it after the news. Now, there have been events where ZF has worked. I keep this giant journal. I have years and years of notes, and I have a lot of notes on computer as well. But my journal has some interesting bond notes with retail. July was a pretty good day, and bonds worked pretty well. January, March. So there are breakouts definitely with retail. So, all right, we've got only a few minutes left. Going to watch the markets. We could look at one more retail. Looking at May. Now, I don't want to look at May because it traded with CPI. That doesn't really help us.
Retail sales month over month. Forecast minus 0.2% on the
April.
prior 1%, with a range of
April,
0.3%
again,
to
we're
minus
on the trap.
0.6%
All right.
expected.
We've
Core
liked
retail
the
sales
trap
month over
trade
month,
on this event.
forecast 0.2% from the prior 0.4%, with a range of 0.6 to minus 0.8% expected. Also see the retail sales year over year, prior read of 2.66%. For Canada, we also see their CPI data year over year. The forecast
Now,
is
what's the
2.8%
risk of a
from the
trap
prior
trade?
2.5%,
The enemy of a
with a range
trap
of
trade is a
2.4 to
100
2%
tick move.
expected. Month over month,
If there's a
forecast flat
100
read of
tick move,
0% from the
then
prior
we'll get stopped
0.4%,
out.
range of 0.2 to minus 0.2% expected. Bank of Canada with the core CPI reads month over month saw a prior of 0.3%, year over year a prior of 1.7%. For the Canadian CPI breakdown, we see the median, which is forecast at 2.2% from the prior 2.4%.
It only
The
filled
premium
one
forecast
tier
2.5%
initially in
from the prior
April.
2.7%.
Sometimes
Common, which saw a prior read of
you can't move the
2.2%,
stop
and the
because
core
the
CPI
order's in the
month over
way.
month
That's
saw
why
a
you
prior read of
cancel
0.4%.
the outer tier when you're comfortable that the reversal has taken hold, like here. Although it can be tough with retail, sometimes the reversals take a bit of time. Sometimes they take a bit of time. You want to try and keep an eye on the news. If the news is all one direction, then I would probably lean towards exiting more quickly. So I'll try my hardest to look at the news as well as I humanly can. And it can be hard to look at that retail news. Because there's a lot of it. Not as much today. Because there's only one major report. All right. Doug, don't forget you have a Zoom in your trade room. There is a Zoom button. I'm trading gold just like the DMM. That's what we're trading for retail. Canada, I'm just watching. That's a trade. That's an event that has not been a great trade. And it can be complicated also to manage a retail trade. It's a trap trade. Canada has not been a fantastic event to trade. So just watching Canada. Hey, David. So also thanks everybody on YouTube looking over. Quite a few people. Hit that like button on YouTube if you would. We'd really appreciate it. We have a nice crowd on YouTube this morning. So it definitely feels like the markets are waiting for this news. You could see, remember I said the gold open? There might be some movement in gold, and you are seeing that. There is movement in gold.
Hub leading with US retail sales month over month.
Now, I don't try to guess. I don't trade on what I think the news is going to be. I think retail sales are probably good. People spend money no matter what. It seems like the consumer just spends and spends and spends no matter what they do.
10 seconds.
So I'll probably have to shrink my charts. The orders
Order
should show.
submitted.
Okay, there's the orders.
Order canceled.
0.1%, 0.1% higher than forecast.
Okay, we
minus
got
0.2%
one
all
tier.
retail sales month over month. 0.1%,
Cancel the
0.1%
outer
Order
tier.
canceled.
lower than forecast. 0.2%.
Order canceled.
And
Canada
before I could
CPI
even get my order to
0.2%,
safety, it
lower than
hit
forecast. 0.1%.
$460
Month
profit.
minus 0.2%.
Perfect,
0.2%,
perfect
lower than forecast.
reversal.
0%.
I mean, sometimes the
We
management
saw some slight
takes a
weakness in the
second,
S&P
and I
500
didn't get a
ahead of the
chance to
strengthening
make
of the
my
dollar.
order bigger.
So if we
So
break
it
down then Bank of Canada's core
very,
CPI
very,
rose
very
minus
nice
1.5%,
trade.
1.5%
A perfect
month
trap
over month,
trade. That's why
minus
retail
0.1%,
is a
minus
trap trade,
0.1%.
folks.
Canadian CPI
It
drop
went down,
2.4%,
it
2.4%, lower
almost
than
tested
forecast,
the low,
2.5%.
and it
Canadian
reversed
2.3%,
instantly. Now,
2.3%, which is higher than
did
forecast,
we get help
2.3%.
from the news?
And the
Now,
COMEX at
Canada did
2%,
the same
2%.
thing. Canada had a great trap trade also, depending on our settings. I'd have to look at our settings.
Seen some weakness in
I
the
wish I would
Canadian
have
dollar as
had
well,
more
falling
time
slightly cooler than
to
expected
get
Canadian
my
CPI
order
numbers.
expanded on retail. I did not, I want to be truthful, I did not expect
We have first
quite
US retail
that
sales orders
quick
reports on the feed
a
for anyone
reversal.
interested.
Retail sales look to me like
Notable
they
prior
were
revision as well
a
to
little
retail
bit
sales month over
negative,
month, revised up to
ultimately.
1% from 1%.
Let me get rid of these pop-ups. That was only one tier, only one tier. Now, the thing that I would say, so here's what I would say, and I'm not looking
The
yet
Treasury is still
at
steady up
any other
0.4%.
instrument before I know what has happened with any other
Just repeat
instrument.
there, Treasury is still steady
My
after news of
question
retail
would
sales
be,
numbers.
why would you not trade the trap trade when it's 6 out of 7 winning months? That's the real question you have to ask yourself. Why would you be looking for something else when it's got 6 out of 7 winners? Now, some folks were looking for
Loonie falling to the day's low against the dollar as well after the Canadian CPI miss.
Roz, it might have been too fast a move so that you couldn't trade. Is that what happened? But I would really question, I mean, but the real issue is why run away from the trap trades? We're trading trap trades regularly. And Roz, you haven't been here for quite a few months, but trap trades are working. You know, I can't, the last trap trade, who can remember the last horrible trap trade? Who remembers the last horrible trap trade? Now, look, if you're experienced enough and you're testing on your own and you're keeping a journal, and I believe that's what Doc is doing, okay? He traded the NQ. Now, I would bet, I'm sure he didn't just randomly trade the NQ today. I'm looking at the ZF chart just to see what kind of movement there was. It looks like not an easy chart to trade. It's almost all wick, which leads me to think that it was a very, very fast move. Okay? When the candle's all wick, it's almost always a very, very fast move. The reason we have a trap trade is because our notes talk about whipsaws, our notes, look, all you have to do, and I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad, take the risk with one tier. Now, in that particular case, you wouldn't have got filled, but at least you were trading the right setup. It is the right setup. And it's pretty rare that that second tier hasn't gotten hit. That was a picture perfect trap trade. Picture perfect. Because it reversed instantly and gave us a beautiful profit. Roz, I'll download that. My guess is, Roz, it was just too fast of a move to trade. I mean, that's always this. It's 99.9% of the time that's the problem. The message sometimes is slightly different, but ultimately the reason is the same. If the market is so fast, sometimes the orders just don't even get placed. That can happen. That absolutely can happen. All right, let's look at the video. And I do want to thank everybody on YouTube. YouTube, how about hitting the like button? You saw us make quite a bit of money in our prop account. I was trading that in my prop account. I'm going to shut down our YouTube stream. I'll keep the trade room open for all of us to do our analysis. Thanks everyone on YouTube. Appreciate your being here. Keep an eye on your email and on that notification.